Hello, hello. Welcome to the Watercraft Journal IRL podcast. I am your host, editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal, Kevin Shaw. The Watercraft Journal is, of course, the only daily digital online personal watercraft publication that is entirely subscription-free to you. There's no passwords, no downloads. We're not taking any money. Hell, we're not even selling shirts right now. We haven't printed a shirt in a long time. Probably should print some shirts. In fact, that's a good question. If you guys want us to make some shirts, what color would you want them? Black is the most popular t-shirt color. I'm wearing a black hoodie, for goodness sakes, but most people don't want to wear black out on the water. So if you guys are listening and you want to help us out, then obviously we should find out what color t-shirt you guys want. We did kind of a aqua blue when we first did our shirts. It was kind of 80s and retro. Not a lot of, well, we sold out all of them, but it was kind of a long drag. So that being said, you guys want to help support the magazine, you guys want a shirt, tell us what color you want the shirt. If you just want the logo, if you want something unique, if you want something kind of cool and crazy, put it in the comments. Let us know. We'd love to make a shirt for you guys. Help support the channel. All right. So, what's been going on? It's been about 4 months since we did a podcast. I think the last one we did was with Josh Dowling, and we were talking about the really terrible rollout of the Kawasaki's that they did out in Thailand. Unfortunately, things haven't gotten any better. So, all that to say is I'm really going to try not to be down on this one, but my notes are not great. And primarily because I'm still on the same hobby horse. That is, it is time for the manufacturers to start considering a younger audience as the baby boomers are now aging out. And they unfortunately have basically targeted solely baby boomers for product. And what happens with just aiming at a very core cash-rich audience is, quite frankly, that lasts at maximum 10 years. And we're starting to get at that tail end. So we are going to get to that through a very interesting bit of spy photography and AI. So all that to be said, guys, welcome again. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad people are pouring in. I was expecting about 6 people to be here tonight, and 3 of them being Billy and Greg and a couple other friends who've messaged me. But I'm glad you guys are here. I will note something, and this is just good old-fashioned Kevin being a smartass. Oh, I forgot to turn the light on. Sorry. Let's wash me out. I did notice something rather funny in my sabbatical that I'm saying, my hiatus, and that is I found it rather interesting how many content creators simply stopped when I stopped. And I thought that was really funny. A lot of guys who wanted to be my competitor also hung things up or just kind of dialed things down when the fire hose of content that was the Watercraft Journal, I don't know, 8 months ago, 7 months ago, whenever the hell I stopped doing the daily stuff. When I chilled out, they all backed off too, which I thought was really funny. So what that makes me kind of, the arithmetic in my head is either they felt they had to compete with me, and why anyone would feel compelled to compete with what I'm doing out of my home office is beyond me. I don't want to do this, and people are trying to compete with me. Okay. Or I make this look easy. And if I make this look easy, then everyone's going to pull in. So I think it's kind of funny. So anyways, all right. Let's take a drink. Billy is here. Raise a glass to Billy. We haven't done this in a while. Everyone welcome Billy. All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's topic. And that is, let's go to an oldie but goodie. This is over at the Watercraft Journal. This article was published as a joke article last year on March 19th. Not even, this is more than a year ago. More than a year ago. Yeah, more than a year ago, March 19th. We were sent this spy photo of a prototype Yamaha. This is Yamaha's launch ramp. This is Yamaha's test lake. It's not their test lake. That's not correct to say that. But it's Alatoona Lake in Georgia. This is typically the Red Hill? Is it Red Hill launch? And this is where I filmed the Darth Vader scene where I walked down the gangplank and got on the ski. If you guys remember that video from forever ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago on Star Wars Day, where I put on a Darth Vader helmet and a cape that I bought for $5 and walked down, and we shot a fire extinguisher out of my truck to do the smoke effect. That is the same exact launch ramp. Okay, guys, this is the same launch ramp when they first introduced the FX Limited that came with the raft and came with the rope and the cover and the bag and the blah, 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 the easy bake oven, all the stuff that they threw in on the limited unit. I mean, they throw the whole accessory catalog at you when you buy the FX Limited. I'm standing, it's a high shot because they're up on there, and I'm standing with my arms folded, surrounded by all the stuff on that dock. That's the very same dock. This is the very same dock. I'm telling you, I know this place. I know it intimately. This is Yamaha's test facility. This is where they bring new stuff out. They drop it in the water. They make sure everything's working, and they run out and ride. So what's going on with this picture? This picture is over a year old. All right. And we talked about this, the size and width of the hull. We talked about the size and width of the hull in comparison to what looks to be, what we estimate to be a VX or potentially FX full-size bench seat in the middle. And when you measure it out, and we used AI to measure it out, we got this image. All right. This is what it's calculated to be. Now, I believe this to be slightly incorrect. I believe that there'll be far less real estate. And I don't know if you guys, I don't think you can see my cursor. I believe that there'll be far less real estate, open bow real estate in front of the control console. But what's going to happen here is that we are going to see the FSH, which is what they currently use for the the fish. I don't know why they don't put the vowel in there, but the fish center console boat, the jet boat. Okay. This is going to be their fish unit for dedicated fishing here in the States. Now, this comes up simultaneously as a couple things are happening. All right. We need to consider what the market, let me back up. We need to consider what all of the positions, what all the chess pieces on the board are looking like. All right. The chess pieces on the board from all the manufacturers. Here we go. I'm just bringing something up. I'm going to cue this up. All right. What brand new fishing watercraft is already slated to come out this year? In fact, it should be out already because of the early release, which they announced it last year. But the Kawasaki Jet Angler. All right. This is the new Big Daddy fishing unit. Okay, that's supposed to come out. 160 horsepower, full-size angler, has the running lights, has a big tank, has the big pods, the pontoons or flotillas on the side. This is ideally an offshore fishing PWC, but this is Kawasaki's big play. Now, does Kawasaki in its 10 to 11% of market share really send Yamaha quaking in its boots? No, absolutely not. You and I know it. We're not going to be fooled by it. Even though Kawasaki is got name recognition, Kawasaki has got brand equity. Kawasaki is a decent name, but their market share sucks. And to a greater effect, what is the price of the Kawasaki going to be now that Kawasaki has moved its personal watercraft manufacturing as of last year down to Mexico? We all know President Trump has put in tariffs, and he's particularly targeting American-based companies who have taken their manufacturing across the border. He went after Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, because all the Hemis were built in Mexico. All the trucks had started being built in Mexico. The Chargers and Challengers were built in Canada, not in Mexico, but the powertrains were built in Mexico. All right. Tim Knitsky's gets put back in charge of Ram, but it's only because they can't put him in charge of Dodge anymore. There's a contractual deal there. But Knitsky's, who's the guy who brought us the Demon, he's the guy who brought us the TRX, he's the guy who brought us all the badass stuff. He was like, hey, let's put a freaking Hellcat motor in an all-wheel drive Durango. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Hey, let's build a trophy truck and sell it to the masses. Okay, that sounds awesome too. Hey, it'd be cool? Let's build a Challenger that lifts the wheels off the ground and runs 8s. Hey, let's do that car too. That's Tim Knitsky's. When Tim Knitsky's got back on with Ram, the first thing he did as soon as Trump got in was he announced that all the engine manufacturing was coming back to the States, and they were bringing truck manufacturing back to the States. All right. Look at Ford. Ford did the exact same thing with their trucks. They were building America's truck in Mexico. Suddenly Ford goes, hey, so don't pay attention to that. We're building all the F-150s now back in Michigan. Okay. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, the question is, right now, no consumer, I have not, you have not, no one around us have paid any sort of extra tariff on product. All right. Unless you're a buyer, a big warehouse buyer for your business, you haven't paid on the consumer level any sort of these negotiation tariffs. Not yet, anyway. So, what is that to tell you? That tells me, because I pay attention and I'm on Twitter or X too much. What that tells me is that this is all negotiation bluster. All right. He is scaring the crap out of countries that have gotten their way for too long. And he's coming in there and he's scaring the piss out of them. All right. Look what happened with Japan. As soon as he announced tariffs, all right, the Prime Minister of Japan flies to the U.S. And he says, all right, let's make a deal. Well, Japan couldn't wiggle on some stuff. They go, hey, man, I'm really sorry. We can't, I can't budge on some things, but hey, why don't we start building some other, let's put up some manufacturing here in the States, and let's also see if we can't. The best example I can give you is, in old Catholicism, they would call it an indulgence. And the indulgence was that you paid the Vatican, or you paid the Pope, or you paid whoever your cardinal was. Basically, you paid the church forgiveness for future sins. All right. This is why Catholicism is a business. You would pay an indulgence. Okay. Well, the EPA operates that way. So let's say I own a company that makes tires, all right? And I am putting out toxic chemicals every day. And I know that I can't operate my business without producing waste. So what do? I go to the EPA and I go, listen, guys, I know I'm pumping out I'm putting out toxic waste, but I can't change my business. What do you want me to do? And they go, okay, you plant 2 million trees a year and we'll wash it out. We'll even things out. That's an indulgence. Okay. It's an EPA indulgence. In the case with Japan, Japan came in, they came to the table, they sat down with President Trump, and they said, okay, listen, we can't move all of our manufacturing from Japan to America. You know that as much as I do. And he, of course, knew. And he goes, hey, listen, just stop ripping us off and we won't place any tariffs. And he goes, I'll tell you what, you put tariffs on a couple of your food products, on agrarian stuff, all right, on just food and basic foods. Okay, fair enough. We'll maintain our tariff over here on whatever manufacturing. I can't remember what the product line was, but there was a product category that Japan they reduced the tariff, but they said we have to charge the U.S. for this. Trump said fine, but Trump also said you got to sweeten the deal. Come on, what else can you bring? So what does the prime minister announce? He says, we're going to, instead of building a couple of these plants that we had slated for Japan, why don't we move them to the U.S.? Trump goes, sounds great, let's do it. Japan was the first one to settle. All right. Thailand came to the Taiwan, not Thailand. Taiwan, Vietnam, and Laos, 0 tariffs. All came out right out of the gate and said 0 tariffs. Okay, ton of product comes to the United States. Ton of American company product. All right. Says made in Taiwan, made in Vietnam, made in Laos. You guys have all seen it. I'm not saying anything new here. Okay. You can pick up most anything sitting on your desk and it's going to say made in Taiwan. All right. Guess what? 0 tariffs. Why? Because the U.S. also provides full military coverage. See how that works? United States military is also an asset, and we can sell protection. You're going to think a New York construction general contractor doesn't know the protection racket? Guys, it's a tale as old as time. All right. So let's be real honest here. Will we be paying extra for Kawasaki's built in Mexico? I don't believe so. Will the price go down? We'll have to see. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Everybody here in the chat who's got 5 brain cells to rub together, everybody knows that all of Yamaha Sea-Doo Cowie, those parts are not made where they're assembled. They come from across the planet. Okay. Come from China, come from Japan, come from Thailand, come from Taiwan, come from Australia, come from Europe, come from wherever. It all converges to where they're assembled. All right. Personally, I do not believe Kawasaki is going to go, well, we can't do nothing about this, so I guess they're all going up $5,000. I would be very, very reticent to believe that idea. So all the people online, all the jackwagons on Facebook, oh man, your Sea-Doos and your Cowies are going to be extra. Chill out. Chill out. And to be honest, as more and more cash circulates in our economy, I almost guarantee prices are going to drop in the next 2 years. I do, personally. All right. So, as I said before, do you think Yamaha is freaking out about the angler? No. I don't think they're scared of the angler. What I do think they're paying attention to is this. And it's not because, let's get a good picture. Here's a picture of me sitting on the stupid seat. I don't think Yamaha is necessarily quaking in its boots over the Fish Pro Trophy Apex. I don't. But I do believe one thing is for sure, and that is Sea-Doo. Yamaha is paying very close attention to how many of these are being sold. The trophy was supposed to be, according to Sea-Doo, when I rode this thing, they sat us down and they talked to us about it. I go, how many trophies are you guys selling? And they go, every damn one of them. I'm like, really? And they go, to the point that we're going to kill the Scout, the GTI based one. They're like, we barely sell the GTI based one. Hell, we barely sell the standard Fish Pro, that 170 horse, which is the sport. They're like, we sold almost nothing but trophies. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then he said, and then they would come back to us and go, what else you got to throw on this thing? So whoever's buying these things are throwing everything at it. So Sea-Doo goes, well, dude, we're missing an opportunity to make some money. So they make this abomination because it's ridiculous. I say it's an abomination not because it's good, or not because it's not good. I say it's an abomination because it's everything. It's everything. It's the everlasting gobstopper of Sea-Doos. It's everything. All right. It's ridiculous. So my point in this is that Yamaha is going, boys, we're sleeping at the, I was going to say Christmas tree, drag racers. We're sleeping at the light when it comes to fishing watercraft. Now, as I say this, I know my Australian friends are pulling their hair out. All right. Because Australia has something we don't. And that is the jetfish. Australia has a dedicated FX. It's naturally aspirated, called the jetfish. And the jetfish has its own, this is the old one. They have one that's even prettier than this. The 2024 or the 25 jetfish is a far more attractive unit. It's got its own decals. It's got its own paint scheme. It comes with everything you see here with the fishing rack and all the kit and caboodle that is a package, accessory package in the United States. Australia has it as its own unit. Okay. So the Aussies have got to be fuming mad going, dude, Yamaha's got one. Why don't they just put that in the States? I think they want to go big. I think the play, let me go back to this, is this. Yamaha's play is going to be a giant, wide, it can't be longer, because if it's longer, if it's more than, if it's 14 feet or above, it becomes a vessel. All right. It becomes a boat. But it's going to be wide, and it's going to be big, and it's going to take up your double trailer, or it's going to hang over the fenders of your single place trailer. This guy is a big old fatty. All right. Will it be supercharged? Don't know. Will it be naturally aspirated? Don't know. Will it have a live well, live bait well? Don't know. Will it have a swivel seat? Possibly in the front. Because a lot of guys want that. Will it have a trolling motor? No, but I guarantee it's going to have a trolling mode. The same thing with the Apex. All these guys are like, I got to have a trolling motor. Chill out. All right. Chill out. Right now, Sea-Doo is working on an electric version so that you can simply not turn on the engine, but just bump it. And using the reverse and the I just forgot what the hell it's called. Wow, I haven't done this in so long. I forgot all my stupid acronyms for Sea-Doo. The stupid reverse thrust thingamajigger that broke for a whole year. What's it called? Holy cow. Guys, here, come on, beat me. IDF. Thank you, Billy. Ugh. Intelligent debris free. Okay. IDF. Pretty sure you're going to start seeing, if this fishing thing continues the way it's going, you're going to see a momentary IDF that bumps the ski certain places. You think I'm crazy? Everyone's like, oh, Kevin was wrong about Spark X. Kevin was wrong about this. Okay, cool. Count the other things I was right about. Mark McGwire led for home runs. He also led for strikeouts. Anyways, so old reference for you graybeards. Anyway, so what are we to expect with this crazy thing? All right. Expect a price tag that's going to be close to the Trophy Apex. Expect a ski that will be ballpark equally equipped as the Apex, if not alternatively heavily equipped. All right. There'll be things that this guy has that Sea-Doo does not have. And Sea-Doo's going to go, well, we're not going to get beat to the punch on this. Sea-Doo wants to be the only fishing, or I shouldn't say only. They can't help that. But they want to be the authority when it comes to jet ski fishing. Good. We've got ourselves a battle. Let's see if some innovation comes out here, boys. I'm all for it. Here's the problem. I'm not into fishing. I live on a lake. There was a bass tournament on my lake this last weekend. Didn't care. My dad never took me fishing. Didn't have a grandpa who went fishing. Fishing is a thing that's handed down. It does nothing for me. Am I saying fishing is bad? No, not at all. I'm glad you guys are doing it. And I want you to teach your sons how to do it. Take your kids out and do it. If it brings you closer to nature and brings you closer to God, I'm all for it. Okay? It's just not my thing. But what my takeaway on this is, we have got ourselves a little bit of a war here. We got ourselves a little bit of a competition. Whoops. Remove. Here we go. All right. So let's talk about what this means for the industry. Because just like in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where Richard Dreyfuss is sculpting the mashed potatoes into a mountain, this too means something. This means something. And it's reflective of what the manufacturers think the industry is going. They think the money to be had, the audience to reach, is the fishing audience. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a teaser. You ready? Remember how Kawasaki announced that fixed steering SXX 160? It's the stand-up with the fixed steering, but you have to crouch like you're pooping in the woods. That dumb thing that they're going to overprice and not sell it, after the first year. possibly one of the dumbest things I've seen a company with the tiniest bit of market share think is their solution. Yamaha's going to do the same thing. But little birdie told me they're bringing back the Jet Raider or Wave Raider name. Remember the Wave Raider with the gooseneck? 1988 Wave Raider. Goofy freaking thing. You want me to bring a picture up? Here, let's find a picture. 1988 Yamaha Wave Raider. Images. Wait a minute. Wave Jammer. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. I said Wave Raider. Oh my gosh. Wave Jammer. I'm out of practice, boys. There you go. Google Images or DuckDuckGo Images. These goofy things. Cut it out. There it is. Wave Jammer. I'm out of touch. No, I'm just out of practice. Thanks, Dave. Get your words right. When I go on vacation, it was the best thing that could have possibly happened. The minute I start writing articles again, I get more dickheads railing, trying to stick it to me. And I'm like, dude, this is why I left. I left because I had people literally saying, I hope Kevin's kids get hit by a car. Over what? Me not liking a Sea-Doo that you like? Is that the kind of crap? Yeah. That's why. I could walk away on this whole thing. So anyway. Rumor mill is saying Yamaha wants to go full retro and bring this back. And they want to do it using the Superjet. So, will this sell? I don't know. But what I will say is, from what I am hearing, yeah, I guess I could say that. Yeah. All right. From what I'm hearing, the new blasters, the new jet blasters, are the right direction for the industry. And that's going to be something. Here, let me go back to this. We can kick out. All right. My understanding is that early tuning, early performance mods, what trusted riders what riders and testers and tuners that I trust, they're saying that the blaster is everything that I and a lot of other people are really, really praying for. And it's everything that the Spark should have been, the redesigned Spark should have been. It's a little heavier than a Spark, to be understood. It's got a fiberglass hull. But power to weight ratio, hull design, throttle response, weight distribution, everything about that ski is geared up with a tune, with a little bit of work, to go 60 without working hard, 62, 63. All right. Now, is that setting your hair on fire? Is that going 90 miles an hour? Is that getting you to compete with, the hydro drag guys? No, that's not the future. Hydro drags and what all these guys are doing and going 148 miles an hour, 152 miles an hour, it's not the future. It's not the future. because that doesn't get kids riding. That doesn't get teenagers and 20-year-olds putting their money together and buying one. And that's the future. Okay. Nobody seems to be looking at the future of the future buyer. All right. You know who the only person that I see, in my view, is the only one who is actually really, really pushing towards the youth is Classic Jet Skis. The really neat British guy that I interviewed who's working on vintage skis. Because he's talking about the soul of this stuff. He's like, what got us to where we are today? And loose, washing the tail out, jumping skis. Can we get back into jumping skis? Yeah, I know we got the one guy out in Detroit who's taking his 325s and going 40 feet in the air on an RXPX. And he's had his, yes, Joe. Yeah, Joe's not the guy I'm talking about. Joe at Classic Jet Skis. But the guy with the wheel shop, real pretty wife, and he goes out there and he starts jumping skis, and he's broken both his wrists and his arms and his shoulders, and don't get me wrong, the guy gets, he's going 40 feet in the air, but yeah, that's jumping jet skis, okay, but I'm talking regular human beings, regular kids who are 26 years old, doing all the stuff that we used to do. Doing all the stuff we did at 20 years old, 25 years old. It's not happening. David, I'm glad you did. David writes, I met a 20-year-old with a Spark and a truck. He was stoked to ride that day. And that is everything that I'm talking about. That's everything I'm talking about. Now, mind you, we've had 10, 11 years of Sparks, so the used market is getting there. But the problem is that the Spark, at no point did the Spark encourage bad behavior, rowdy behavior, going crazy and getting loose and jumping boat wakes and just being a hoon. Just being an old school hoon. And that's what jet skiing is about. It is. So I'm sick and tired of the supercharged 325s and 300s and 260s, and I'm over it. I'm seriously over all of it. I'm over it. Okay. I've been 90, 92 miles an hour. I've been on fast skis. Ooh, straight line. I've been on skis that run 85 miles an hour. You goose it and you go, whoop, and you back off. You're like, well, that was fun for 9 seconds. Okay. Now what? Oh, it handles like crap and it's unreliable. And, I'm hosing down the freaking plugs and I'm, the bearing, supercharger bearings starting to give out and blah, 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 blah. And it turns into a snowball of crap. Great. I'm over it. I'm so over it. I'm over it. Okay. And I have good friends that I love who that is their bread and butter. That is what keeps their lights on at night. But it is not the future. It's not the future. It's going to run out. Those guys will exist and it'll be cool. And I'm happy that there'll always be someone who's like, all right, let's make some horsepower and let's go fast. And there's always going to be morons who think I can handle 500 horse, and they put it into a tree or they put it into a concrete pylon because they're in some, flood ditch out in Florida. Okay. All right, cool. That doesn't build a sport. That doesn't build a hobby. It doesn't build a race series. It doesn't build the future. So I got to think long term. I have to think long term. And long term to me is one-seaters that weigh 500 pounds, that run on 87 octane, that it's going to be the future. And dude, I'm 47 years old. All right. I'm not 57. I'm not 67. A lot of 67-year-olds, they grew up on 400s. But the problem is that they don't remember that they were also 19 years old. And they could afford one at 19. Do you understand me? At 22 years old, could you buy a jet ski today? A new one. Go into a dealership. Let's pretend you were 22 years old. What job were you working when you were 22 years old? How much money were you making? Where were you living? And could you afford a brand new jet ski? No. But in 1984, you could. That's what I'm talking about. All right. That's what Sea-Doo was trying to accomplish in 2014. They were trying to accomplish an $8,000, $7,000, $5,000 Sea-Doo with a trailer, and they were selling cheap trailers that you could tow behind your beater that you were driving around. That's my point. My point is exactly, David, my 24 and 21-year-old sons could not right now because they're $20,000. They're $25,000. It's ridiculous. That means they're not targeting young men. And let's be real honest. It's not young women. It's young men who are going to do this. All right. It's going to be young guys who are going to do this. My whole point is manufacturers need to remember how we got here. We can't go back to 1984 prices. I understand that. All right. A can of Coke is not going to be 5 cents in a vending machine. I'm not fooled. It's not going to be a quarter for a Mountain Dew. But we can get as close as humanly possible if we consider that audience. So, Jet Blaster, Wave Jammer, or they bring back the Raider for whatever, I don't care. Or Spark. And Spark goes, okay, listen, we're going to throw some really wild colors on this. Not mother effing beige. Beige. Whoever thought of that needs to be punched in the nuts. They're so stupid. How inspiring is khaki? So anyways, the whole point is that all of this is going to happen. What I'm talking about. When this thingamajig is a bomb. Okay? When people don't buy this, the manufacturers will course correct. It's going to take 2 years for them to maybe come around. But they're going to sink money. Guys, stop. Stop for a second. Stop. I want you to stop. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and say it with me. Follow the money. Always follow the money. It is demonstrably, let me pull this up. God, this is the stupidest program. It is demonstrably easier for a dealership to sell one of these at $25,000 to one guy in his 60s who has good credit and cash up front than it is to try to sell 4 or 5 one-seater Sparks or one-seater Jet Blasters to a bunch of kids with garbage credit. You know this as much as I do. This is not rocket science. They're like, why do I want to deal with a bunch of obnoxious 25-year-old hoons who are going to go out and smash these things on rocks and jump them in some boat wake and break the handlebars off and every other stupid thing that every 25-year-old did on a jet ski. I know I did. Okay. Than it is to sell Grandpa Joe a full tilt, over the top, $25,000 fishing boat that tops off at 66 miles an hour because it's so full of stuff. The manufacturer is going to go, we've got those skis, we've got that mold, and we've got all those accessories collecting dust on a shelf. Throw all of that and anything else we've got at that ski, charge it, call it the super duper Apex Palooza for $30,000. And now it's got disco lights on all up and down the sides, and it shoots confetti every time you pull in the fish. I don't know, whatever. And that's what they're gonna do. Because as long as that is still a viable option, that is 20 times easier. It is. So do we wait for the baby boomers to all die? And, what's the song? Someday mother will die and I'll get the money. I mean, do we wait for the baby boomers to finally stop buying this crap? And then the dealers go, why are we selling anything? And it's like, because no one wants these. Nobody wants an 1,100-pound Kawasaki with 160 horsepower that tops off at 49 miles an hour. I don't know if it tops off at 49 miles an hour. It might go 52. It might go 55. I don't know. I know it doesn't go 60. I'll tell you that right now. But right now, Kawasaki says, man, the market's hot for these. We gotta have something ready. Sea-Doo. Ooh, market's hot. We sell every one of these that we make. Okay. Yamaha. Here, let's close that out. Oh, whatever Yamaha's Jetfish in Australia. Yeah, you go 49 miles an hour. Bingo. So yeah, the tail end of the baby boomers, they're still buying all this stuff. And no, Chief, I'm right. It's the baby boomers. They're still in their 60s. Some are still in their 60s. Gen X isn't in their 60s yet. But what are we going to do? So my point in all of this is, all right, I'll say this. This is actually kind of funny. So you ask any jet ski racer their thoughts on Scott Frazier, guy who owns and runs the IGSBA World Finals. Every guy that I know is going to have some story or some axe to grind about Scott Frazier. Oh, World Finals, he'll charge you. Oh, geez, he'll charge you this, he'll charge you that. Oh, he's such a crook. Rah, 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 rah. Yeah. Everyone's going to cry and whine about Scott Frazier in the World Finals. And that's your right. 100%. By all means. If you got a problem, voice your concern. Here's a funny thing, though. I go, hey, I got a question for you. And I'm Dustin Farthing, Chris McCluggage, top quality racers. I go, hey, I got a question. What if all you guys sat out the World Finals? And I'm talking all the brass, all the top level racers. All right. Yeah, you're going to get some Europeans that are going to show up and do roundy rounds with their GPs. But what if all the big names say, no, dude, protest of, a unified protest, solidarity protest. We're all out. What would happen? Entries, and word got out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Oh, we're all sitting this one out. We're all going to go somewhere else. We're all going to protest because this guy's been a crook and he's ripping us off. What would happen? Oh, you mean he doesn't get paid that year? I think maybe within a year and a half to 2 years, you sit out 2 years of the World Finals. Oh, he's done. He's out. He sold it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. He's not going to ride out 2 years of no World Finals. 50 people show up at the World Finals. Screw that. He's out. So all it takes for major change, is to sit it out. All it takes to change the landscape is to do nothing. To do nothing. All you have to do is nothing. That's it. All you have to do is nothing. Nothing. You have to do nothing. Don't buy anything. Don't spend any money. Sit on your hands. Put all your fingers in your nose. I don't care what you have to do. But do nothing. And guess what? They won't do it. They won't do it. They won't not go. I'm always right, Chief. This is me. But yeah, honestly. Oh, you don't like it? Sit it out. Sit it out. It's so easy. So you don't like what Sea-Doo's producing? You don't like what Yamaha's producing? You don't like what anyone's producing or what they're doing? Sit it out. Worked for Bud Light. Bud Light got the message real fast. But here we are. So I just have to laugh. I'm like, it's the easiest thing on the planet. But yet people keep going. I can't not go. I'm supporting the racers. No, you're not. Because if you get the racer to go somewhere else or to not do anything, then by sitting this out and affecting change, positive change, a new ownership, new leadership, new direction, you're creating a positive landscape for change. See how easy that is? God, if only someone thought of that. God. Same thing goes with the Watercraft. Let's say the Spark, let's say nobody likes, let's say in 2014, the Spark comes out and nobody liked it. It was a failure. Do you think they would have built it for 10 years? Do you think they still would have pumped out the money? Or do you think it would have died like the 3D did? Remember the 3D? After 3 years. How long did the LRV and the SUV last? 3.5 years. 4 years. Didn't last long. Vote with your wallet, guys. Now, I do like the Spark. I do. In fact, the problem is I wish Sea-Doo took the Spark more seriously. But they're making money on fishing boats, and they sell every 325 they make. So I get it. I understand. They're like, well, why stop now? It's making money. Now, thankfully, it's been a very cold year and a half. Sales have been pretty damn bad for the last year and a half. I was on the phone with Joe Bandis. That's Dave's brother. All right. Dave runs a lot of the dealership side of the business. And Joe's like, ain't great. We've been through tougher, but it ain't great. I said, okay. Well, what do you think? Well, let's see what happens the next couple months because Q2 sure sucks. Maybe Q3 will pick up. It won't. Not for, Q3 is halfway through summer. That is because the colors suck. Thank you. It's true. The colors do suck. But it was hilarious. It's hilarious to me. And it's not like, these aren't genius big brain answers. All right. I'm an angry ginger locked in his home office, screaming into a little microphone or a microphone and a tiny little camera to 109 people. Welcome to hell. I'll be your tour guide. So I just laugh. I'm like, guys, this isn't tough. All right. But right now, they're not building, they're not planting the seeds of trees whose shade they won't enjoy. They're not looking to the future. Yamaha is going, hey man, the market's big, the fishing market's big, we got to jump in head first. Perfect. Kawasaki's like, man, Sea-Doo is selling every fish pro they make. We got to get on the fishing game. Perfect. Put a supercharger on yours. Even though the supercharger just goes, just inhales fuel. My 69 Dodge Charger gets better fuel mileage than a stinking Kawasaki. All right. But to that point, I know I'm talking to people who like stable, dry runabouts that go fast and make big horsepower and go quick and can pull ahead of their buddy next to them on the water. Go, yeah, dude, I blew your doors off. I know I'm talking to you guys. I know that's who's reading. I know that's who's reading the magazine. I know that's who's watching the videos. I know it is. So I'm effectively talking negatively about a product and an audience to exactly the audience who buys that product. Will I, being out of shape with a really bad shoulder and a bad knee, go out and buy a Jet Blaster or a Spark X or a Spark XP or whatever the fully fart they name it, if they make it, when they make it? God help me, I pray they do, but whatever. Will I go out and buy one? Probably not. It makes me a hypocrite. I know. I'm a hypocrite because I am out of shape and I click when I walk, and I've got kids who want to be towed around on a tube. And so effectively, I need to have a runabout that seats 3, has some decent storage, and can tow a raft. So that's it. Now, with just a couple minutes before an hour, I'm going to read all of the super chats because that is my process. And I had someone yell at me for not reading the super chats, but I'm not going to interrupt my train of thought to answer your questions. But thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. Good. Happy almost tax day from a tired accountant enjoying the podcast. I like that. That's pretty funny. I gotta remember to bring these up. All right. Thank you, Stoney. Appreciate it. Getting my Kawasaki 550 ready for summer. Great to be back. Now, that is a man who is speaking to my heart. If anyone can ride a 550, you can ride anything. 550 is a pain in the butt. I don't think they're easy, but it's also what I grew up riding. So I love it. I love it for its rawness. I love it because it's challenging. I love it because it weeds people out. It weeds the tourists out from the athletes. And there used to be a day, back in my day, where riding a jet ski required athleticism. So, all right. Arash, tariffs are the only reason I bought a 2021 Ultra LX over the 2024 model. There are no tariffs to pay. It's just overpriced anyway. You're not paying tariffs because there haven't been any penalties issued. In fact, we are on a 90-day hiatus. There's a 90-day pause on any and all tariffs just so that he could really turn the screws towards China. I don't know if you guys saw that exchange that was going on where he was like, hey, China, take the tariffs off and we can get along. And China's like, screw you. And he goes, screw you and the horse you rode in on. I'm going to 125% tariff or 125% tariff on all goods from China. And China's like, what? So anyway, yeah, there's no tariffs to pay, but manufacturing did move to Mexico 2 years ago for that model. Actually, the 23. So 23, 24, 25 were all hecho in Mexico. Triple X writes, you think Yamaha Cowie will make a Switch competitor? No. Sadly, I don't know this for a fact, so I can't really say. But the Switch has not been, let's just say, major dealers, like major deal. I see them on my lake. I see them driving up, on trailers going up and down my road now that the weather's good. Switch sales are way below expectations, or I should say way below projection. That's better. It just didn't catch. It just didn't catch like it should have. Are the Switches good? They're not great, but they're good. There's an unsettling behavior that happens, especially on the big 21. If you're on like a big boy, you're like on a 19 with an extension and all this stuff. The deck twists because it's modular and it's made out of Polytech. And so there's flex, and the modular deck pops and creaks and women, some guys will live with it. Like, oh, it's plastic, who cares? But women go, this makes me nervous. And ultimately, a boat like that is going to be a family purchase. It's going to be it's a big family purchase. And if your wife's like, this thing's a little creaky, it's a little off-putting, that's not going to bode well. So unfortunately, the Switch just has not been great. And now with a very cold market last year and currently, Switch sales are stagnant. You'll see a lot of advertisements for Switch on the Watercraft Journal. They're really trying to remind people, hey, we got Switches, we got rebates, we got, we have very encouraging pricing, or we have very, favorable interest rates and all that kind of stuff. So it just hasn't been good. Will the fishing Switch help? Dude, I don't know. Maybe. But right now, Switch hasn't been hot. All right. Arash is back with another super chat. Arash is spending all of his money on super chats, dude. What are you doing? Kawasaki should make a new super chicken. I'd buy one in a heartbeat. People say things. Maybe they mean it, but boy. I do not see a market for a super chicken. But then again, I don't see a market for the SXX. So maybe there is a market for both. I don't know. If it is, it's sure as hell not me. And it's not anyone I know. So, oof. All right. Arash, you got another one, dude. What are you doing? It's all about price for youngsters. I wish there was a supercharged Spark XP. They won't supercharge the Spark. There's no reason to. They just put a tune on it. Tune the damn thing. 130 horse. or 110. The Ace, the 900 Ace can make 115 horse with a tune. It's that easy. And we know for a fact that the 1630 can go in it. If you put a 1630 in, even at 130 horse, you can tune the damn thing out the wazoo at 170 horse. And now you have 170 horsepower spark that goes 64 miles an hour or 66 miles an hour with a big dude on it. And you're in a whole new world. Now you're in a Hellcat powered Miata. So that would be great. But again, supercharged puts the price up. All right. Naturally aspirated, single seat, small, lightweight, plastic, cheap. Sell it. Sell it. All right. We got one from Stu's Aquatails. So I realized something. You said previously about the Kawasaki Ninja 1-liter engine making more horsepower than the 1.5-liter jet ski engine. But if you look at what RPM the Ninja engine makes, its numbers, it's well over 10K. I don't think it'd work. Naturally aspirate, so the H2R, and then there's the RR, which, what? Then there's just the H2. So the H2 is naturally aspirated, if I'm not wrong. And that makes more horsepower than the naturally aspirated 1.5 liter. But the supercharged H2R, which makes 300 horsepower, that one had peak horsepower. I want to say it was like 89 or 8,800. Now I'm curious. H2R, 300 horsepower, peak RPM. Woo! Oh, Stu and I are way off. Holy crow. What's up with that picture? All right. 998cc engine, delivers 326 horsepower, enabling 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Let's bring this page up, ladies and gentlemen. Advanced technology. This is look at this picture. What? Why is it going fast without a rider? People who think that's okay. So stupid. All right. What I wooed over, and I don't know. Went 248 miles per hour on the Osman Ghazi Bridge and 216 miles per hour during a standing mile test. Holy crap. There it is. There it is, folks. 13,000 RPM. Yeah, Stu might have a point. Oh my goodness. So yeah, water doesn't stay water at that kind of RPM. Like, they're finding that around 10,000 RPM, water starts to just turn into steam. So that's no good. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. So yeah, I don't know anything more than that, dude. That's my first time really looking into the RPM on that. So unless they put a gear reduction on that thing, I don't know what to tell you. Put a gear vendor on it and put a gear reduction on it. A rash? This is you're bordering on $200 here. What are you doing, buddy? I'm working about parts in the future. I'm working about parts in the future. It's a $50 typo. I don't know what this means. A rash. Did you correct yourself? I'm working about parts in the future. Dang it, I don't know what you're saying. Huh. A rash is a itching? Well, I don't know what that means either. Sorry. I do like this comment, though. This will be our last one. Zach writes a very good comment. It's not about price for Gen Z. 26, and I cannot get my friends to even come up north and ride jet skis with me, let alone convince them to buy a ski. Boy, I was really hoping to be able to get through a podcast without talking about cars. And I'm going to fail. I'm going to give a very blanket answer, and then I'm going to follow that up with reasoning. All right. Most Gen Z do not want to buy this stuff or get into this stuff. Because frankly, baby boomers and the older Gen X's, and I'm on the tail end of Gen X. I was born in 78. They've salted the earth behind them. All right. It's very hard to find investment property. It's very hard to get into opportunities. It's hard to make rent. It's hard to buy a house. They've salted the earth behind them. And that is a tale as old as time. I've said this before, of the youth blaming the older generation. I'll segue into a car thing. As many of you know, I own a rather successful car magazine. And it's an online car magazine, just like the Watercraft Journal. It's called Mopar Connection Magazine. It's all Dodge, Plymouth, Chrysler, muscle cars. I've already talked about Dodge a little bit today. But a lot of old guys and a lot of manufacturers go, oh, the youth don't even want their driver's license. The youth don't want cars. They're not into cars. And I have to grab them by the ears and shake them violently and go, it's because you assholes have taken everything and you're hoarding it. How many cars are you sitting on that you're never going to finish? And I talk to guys who are like, I have probably 11 cars, or I have 4 cars, or I have 3 cars, or I have 9 cars. And I talk to these guys, and they are the first to sit there and dump and poo-poo on 25-year-old guys. Oh, they're not into cars. They just want to sit and play video games. And I go, dude, what do you expect them to buy? Can a 25-year-old buy a 68 Z28 Camaro? Can a 25-year-old find a 68 Fastback GT390 Mustang? Can a 25-year-old find a 1968 Dodge Charger RT 440 4-speed? No. Question for you. Can a 25-year-old find a 1968 hollow husk of a roller, straight 6, grandma's car roller that's primed for a engine swap? Do you think he can buy one for less than $10,000 to $15,000 that doesn't require all new floors. Doesn't require trunk pan, trunk extensions, deck lid, Dutchman panel, hood, roof skin, quarters, lower quarters, rockers. $9,000 worth of AMD metal. Do you think that kid can? Do you think it's available to him? Do you think that's an option? My point is, I'm 47. When I was 17, there were old boys who were like, "Hey, kid, what are you working on?" Well, at the time I had a Camaro. I had a 350 small block Camaro, split bumper Camaro. And they're like, "Hey, you need a Team G manifold, or hey, you need this dual plane manifold, this Holley manifold, this YN manifold. Oh, you need a set of headers. I got an old set of hookers we can bolt onto that thing, little shorty tubes. That'll be great. That'll open up some power." I had guys throwing parts at me. "How much money you got in your wallet, kid?" "Oh, I got $40. Here's $40 for those headers." "What? You'll sell me those headers for $40? Absolutely. Here you go." I had parts thrown at me by good old boys, happy to see a young kid, zit-faced, redheaded kid, working on an old car. The problem is that those old guys 30 years ago are dead. And the old guys today are the dudes who came up behind them, and they have screwed most everyone. Now, I say this when I had a 70-year-old man climbing in and out of the engine compartment of my 70 Plymouth Fury, volunteering to paint my firewall body color for a project in the magazine today. So it's not all. I don't want to say blanket statement. I don't want to sit there and go, all baby boomers are bad. I'm not. I'll never say that. But I'm saying generationally, we have seen a lack. We have seen a lack of charity to pass it on. All right. Again, I'm 47 years old. I got 22-year-old kids coming into my garage, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't have a lot of spare parts, but I got time and I got good hands. Bring your garbage over and let's see if we can't get it running. I'll give you time. I'm not a hoarder. I don't hold on to a lot of stuff. If I got an old oil pan that that I blew out on Power Tour when I bottomed out in some construction. Let me bead weld the seam and see if it'll hold water. And if it'll hold, then we'll put it underneath your engine." "Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hey, I got I got the tools necessary to bend my own brake lines. You want to come over and we'll put new brake lines on your car?" "Dude, that'd be awesome." "Absolutely. Bring your car in." All right. That's me. Am I the greatest guy ever? No. But I had the same thing given to me, and so I feel obligated to pass it forward. And I am sorry, Zach, but I think a lot of guys, a lot of grown men did your friends dirty. That's my opinion. I think a lot of guys screwed your buddies into saying, "Well, hell, it's not even worth it." "What do you mean? I'm not going to be able to get anything." So I don't feel I feel bad for your friends. All right. I feel bad for them because they believe, and the same thing with young car enthusiasts, they believe that option is taken off the table for them. They're like, "I'm never going to own a house." It's like me living right here. I live on a lake. Do I have waterfront property? No. But I look at what developers have done all around my peninsula, and I go, "Well, I don't have the 2.8 million to get into a McMansion that some California property developer came in and bought every stretch of open land and said, 'Here we go. I've got 10 acres here. Let's see if I can't cram 15 houses on that 10 acres. So as much as jet skis, the same thing happens with classic cars. The same thing happens with cool motorcycles. Same thing happens with trucks. Same thing happens with everything. Name it. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. So this is, again, I apologize for bringing up the car thing, but this is I literally had this conversation with high level members of Holley just a couple weeks ago. They're like, man, we can't get kids involved. I go, what are you doing to get them involved? Oh, we're lowering prices. I'm like, no. They don't even know it's available to them. They don't know they can get a car. I'm like, you guys have Motor Life magazine. Show them how to find a car and do it cheap. How can they get it? Someone said, hey, man, I want a 92 Fox body. 92 Fox body, great car. LX, way better than a hatchback. Really good platform. Great drag racing car. Find me one. Nope. Make a concession. Go earlier. Get the Mercuries. Nobody wants them. Still a Fox body. Just older tech. Doesn't look as cool. All right. Reskin the damn thing. So it's there's a way out of this. There's a way to fix it. But it takes a lot of people to change their behavior. And that's the reality. It takes people to change their behavior. You know, I made the joke and spazzed out over the IGSBA. I go, change your behavior. Do the thing that is opposite your natural instinct. Change your behavior and see what change that rots. If a bunch of guys who are sitting around on old clapped out cars sat there on their back porch and looked out on all the garbage that their wife was begging them to get rid of, and that guy says, man, I got this neighborhood kid driving this little beat to crap little Chevy Malibu, you know, that his mom gave him, some 2008 Malibu or whatever the hell it is. And he has stopped and he's asked me about these cars. I got to flag that kid down and see what he wants to do with that Camaro or that Nova or that whatever the hell it's in his backyard. If that guy changed and said, I want to see the car on the road in the hands of a young guy who's going to love and cherish that car, the attitude changes. But instead, you got that guy who's looking out in his backyard and he looks at all those cars and he goes, I just watched Meekum auction and that thing went for $120,000 and I know I'm sitting on a gold mine. I'm going to be rich. I'm like, no, you're not. You're sitting on garbage. You're sitting on trash. You've let it rot. You're 350 pounds on oxygen. They're going to cut your feet off because you're diabetic. You're never going to finish those cars. You're killing those cars. That's what you're doing. You're slowly, you don't have the hand strength to actually strangle it to death, but you're slowly suffocating it. Instead of going, man, I'd love to see that car back on the road and doing a big fat ass burnout. Oh, that'd be so cool. Freaking big block in and just ripping it out and freaking pegging it at $6,000. That'd be great. If only that old guy loved the car enough to get it out of his hands. You know what I mean? If only he cared enough to see the hobby that brought him so much happiness and friendship and camaraderie. If he would go, boy, I'd sure love to see these screwball kids down the street who are building, garbage, riced out trash that I don't like, but, got their hands on this Dart Sport or this Roadrunner or this, I don't know, 351 Cleveland truck or anything. The cars are still out there, guys. The cars are still there. But you got a bunch of dudes who watch Meekum and they watch Barrett Jackson. They think they're sitting on gold. And you're like, you're not. You're sitting on trash. And you've let it languish. And You've chased every kid away. Chase the collectors away. Chase the guy who's got an enclosed trailer and, big money. Tell that guy to screw off. Yeah, you can make some money, but unless you're really hurting and you got medical bills, I mean, I get it. Listen, dude, if you got medical bills racking up and you have a family emergency, sell those cars off and pay your bills and take care of your wife or take care of your kids or whatever you need to take care of. Please. That's your job as a man, is to take care of your family. But if you're doing okay, if you're not sweating the tax man, and you can look out and you go, man, I got some old C10 Chevy pickups or I got some old farm trucks. Put an ad in Facebook Marketplace and go, hey, I got a C10 long bed. And let the local kid see the car first and take a hit on it. I'm asking you to take a hit. Yes, take a hit on it. Because that kid is going to treasure that car. And all of his friends are, dude, you stole that truck. It's like, no, man. The old man's like, you promise me you get that damn thing running. You come by and you do a big fat burnout in front of my house and piss off my old lady. Absolutely, sir. You got it. That's a car guy. That's a car guy. Not these dudes who roll in hard with their freaking McLarens at Cars and Coffee. I'm a car guy. No, you're not. You wrote a check. No, you're not. You're a tourist. You wrote a check. You never turned a damn wrench. Sorry. I'm on a rant now. Guys, I'm done. It's been an hour and a half. I was going to end this thing an hour ago. Well, so fun thing. Next week, we have got Greg Gaddis coming back with Charles. Oh, guy, please, Charles, forgive me. How do you pronounce his last name? Guinchard. And we're going to talk about the Mudbug and the Mudbug racing that they had 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and how that thing is going to be huge. And it's only going to go up from there. So tune in next week. We're going to get a picture off and a picture and a flyer and get everyone excited about it. But thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. It was a little fun. Went down a weird route, but welcome to my podcast. I might start cutting these up and doing quick topics again, maybe 1 or 2 a week, not every damn day. But I might start doing that too. Thank you for the super chats, guys. Appreciate it. And if you want more quick topics and you want to support the channel, the super chats help. Arash was the winner of tonight. Holy cow, dude. I can't believe you sent so many. I really appreciate that. So thanks again, guys. But for now, have a great Monday night. Enjoy your week. We'll talk soon. Adios.